Hello everyone, thank you for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Équinoxe Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. My name is Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, Mandela Center International, an international non-governmental organization working with the United Nations, decries manipulation by the Cameroon government and the state media in the Stephanie Victoire Njomo affair. The permanent executive secretary of Mandela Center International maintains that the story shared with the public by Stephanie Njomo with regards to her experience in the crisis-hit southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon was a true story, and that she was compelled to reverse her statements and say that it was a fake story. You will hear the Secretary General, the permanent executive secretary of Mandela Center International, in this edition of the news. And we'll also take you to Njongo village in Guti subdivision, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, a village without a road. Stay with us. Thanks, dear viewers, for joining us on this edition of the news on Équinoxe Television, in which we're going to be revealing truths and facts on issues concerning the Stephanie Victoire Njomo affair. And the Mandela Center International now condemns what it qualifies as manipulation by the Cameroon government and the state media in this affair. A manipulation, it says, is intended to hide the truth, but he goes further to say that lies have a short lifespan, but the truth lives forever. We begin in this newscast with an extract of one of the lawyers who were defending Stephanie Victoire Njomo at the beginning of the case. He was speaking to Équinoxe yesterday, and he narrated the whole affair from the genesis right up to the point where he was kicked out of the case. And according to him, this came as a result of a pressure and manipulation by some military and administrative authorities who compelled her to deny the services of the lawyer. And of course, Barrister Sheikh Ali Al-Assad narrated the whole story to Équinoxe yesterday. Take a listen.
Je dois aussi avouer que j'ai un goût de cendre dans la bouche.
I have to confess that since the beginning of my career, I have never encountered such obstacles as a practicing lawyer.
Dans l'exercice de ma profession d'avocat. J'avais été contacté par les filles de Madame Njomo qui m'ont...
The daughters of Madame Njomo contacted me after they saw me on one of the television programs on Équinoxe.
Elles sont dans un milieu où on a même pas...
They pleaded with me to legally defend their mother and precised that she wouldn't be able to pay me.
Tout en me précisant qu'elle ne pouvait pas me verser le plus petit franc à titre d'honoraire. J'ai pris ce dossier pro bono comme nous.
I took these documents on pro bono, like we lawyers say, using legal jargons.
Au risque de me répéter, je n'ai jamais rencontré dans le cadre d'un dossier autant d'incohérences.
I have never gone through a client's file in my life with so much incoherence. I was with Madame Njomo when she was indicted. On my greatest surprise, Madame Njomo was ordered out of prison on a Monday without my knowledge. Not by the magistrate who put her on detention, but by the state council.
Non pas par le magistrat instructeur qui l'avait placé sous mandat de détention provisoire, mais plutôt par le ministère public, c'est-à-dire le commissaire du gouvernement. Lorsque j'ai été informé, I
got informed by anonymous sources and hastily rushed to the military tribunal. I found out she was at the State Council's office with a representative from the Minister of Defense.
Représentant du ministre de la Défense avec le juge d'instruction. J'ai demandé à assister à l'entretien, on ne me l'a pas permis.
I was denied access to the meeting. So from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., she was being interrogated by these judicial authorities.
Ce n'était pas une instruction. On ne nous a pas appris cela en tout cas.
It was so unorthodox because we weren't taught this type of practice in law school. We were taught when defending a client, you must assist and be present in all court hearings and meetings.
Le lendemain, j'ai été informé pas par Madame Jomo mais par des membres de sa famille et tout et tout.
The next day, I was informed by Madame Jomo's family that she was asked a series of questions like, what was her relationship with me, how is she able to afford a lawyer, and her acquaintance with the opposition political party and television.
Sur ses acquaintances avec une télévision, autant de choses. J'ai, comme de juste, vigoureusement protesté.
I vigorously protested, and that's when Madame Jomo thanked me for my services and equally said she wouldn't be needing them anymore. In other words, I was taken off the case yesterday.
Qu'elle allait se passer de mes services. En clair, j'ai été déconstitué du dossier. C'était hier.
Sheikh Ali Al-Assad, one of the lawyers who were defending Victoire Stephanie Jomo at the beginning of the case, and I indicated earlier that the Mandela Center International, a non-governmental organization, affirms that it has proofs that the lady was compelled to say that the story which she narrated in Équinoxe Television's program Parole de Femme was a fake story, and the center maintains that the story of Victoire Stephanie Jomo was nothing but the truth and the experience of a war victims, lamenting over the fact that the public is being manipulated by the government of Cameroon and the state media. Take a listen to the permanent executive secretary of Mandela Center International, Jean-Claude Fognon.
Mandela Center International, following great surprise, the 1 p.m. news on CRTV, on which Stephanie Jomo claims that he has been manipulated by Équinoxe Television. We have been following this case very closely from the beginning, and we wish to tell the Cameroonian people that the government cannot manipulate people up to today. That lady was arrested on Sunday, 8 November, without warrant or a title of justice by an unidentified individual, probably belonging to the Cameroonian security forces, who has to produce a 14-second video in which he was asked if it was her who was appear on the Équinoxe TV program and who was then posted on social network, and to affirm that Stephanie Jomo admit lying on her story. The poor victim was taken military to the Bonasama Douala Jandarmerie Brigade for a few hours before being conducted to territorial gendarme group of Bonanjo under the fallacious pretext that the order of her arrest came from the Yaoundé authorities. As we mentioned in our different press release, Mandela Center International is in a position to affirm without any doubt that she has been suffering several acts of torture, cruel, inhuman and degrading treatment in order to get her to confess that she has been manipulated by Équinoxe Television or a Cameroonian opposition political party. Despite the fact that during a special program, Parole de Femme, on Tuesday, November 10 in the evening, the channel broadcast a report in which the children of Victoire Stephanie Jomo, as well as her father-in-law, with whom she lived for 3 years in the Bonasama locality, remove any ambiguity about this affair. We realized that the Minister of Communication and Cameroon spokesman René Manuel Sadi, in a correspondence of 12 November, relating to a formal notice addressed to the chairman and CEO of the Équinoxe Television, with copies to the Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic, the Director of the Cabinet, the Civil Cabinet, the Secretary General of the Prime Minister's Office, and the Minister of Territorial Administration, affirm clearly that investigation carried out by specialized services within the framework of the hearing of Jomo Yebmo Victoire Stephanie, arrested on November 8, attests without the slightest doubt that it is purely and simply a maneuver of instrumentalization of national and international opinions. We were very shocked by the fact that a remand warrant signed by a military examining magistrate from the Douala Military Tribunal saying Victoire certifying Jomo at the Douala Central Prison in Nubel in the night of November 11, after being charged of spreading fake news and failing to show her national identity card. So we all know that it is a piece that she has not been able to establish since she lost all her personal things while escaping the war 4 years ago. Mandela Center International is able to affirm that Victoire Stephanie is a victim of non-international armed conflict, which has been shaken the English-speaking regions of Cameroon since 2016, and that she has lost her twins, as Clara and her sister, in the Anglophone crisis when she lived in the Fiango village in Kumba at the beginning of the crisis. We also noticed that during the judicial procedure, many manipulations were undertaken to hide the truth. Although the fact that Mrs. Jomo was before an examining magistrate, the government commissioner at the Douala Military Tribunal issued a production warrant on 13 November to report that she should report to his office in Bonajo on Monday, November 16, without informing his lawyer, to a secret meeting attended by Victoire Stephanie Jomo, a member of her family, the military examining magistrate, in the presence of a senior official from the Ministry of Defense in Yaoundé. We strongly condemn the fact that during the informal consultation, Barrister Sheikh Ali Al-Assad, that is a Jomo lawyer, were refused access to the cabinet of the government commissioner to assist her claim in accordance with legal provision relating to criminal proceeding under the false pretext that it is a private consultation. At the end of the said consultation, Stephanie Jomo was taken under escort to an unknown residence in Douala, where she was presented to a high personality who asked her if she was funded by Équinoxe Television, and was only brought back to the military tribunal after 5 p.m. when his lawyer was in total trouble.
Jean-Claude Forneau, permanent executive secretary of Mandela Center International, goes further to condemn what he qualifies as violation of the law by the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson René Emmanuel Sadi in his warning to Equinoxe Radio and Television with regards to this affair. He equally points out many other loopholes and flaws in the management of this affair by the state of Cameroon. Take a listen.
Mandela Center International is able to confirm that since the working session, 4 children of Stephanie Jomo were in total insecurity and were moving from house to house every day and could no longer spend 2 consecutive nights in one place. Also, 3 bench warrants were issued against 3 militants of the Cameroonian movement. That should be reported in the office of the commissioner, the government commissioner at the Douala Military Tribunal. Following another production warrant issued by the military examining magistrate, Victoire Jomo was summoned on this Wednesday, just yesterday, to his office for her full hearing, during which he said he did not want a lawyer under the pressure of the government. According to Article 3 of the law relating to criminal procedure, the violation of a rule of criminal procedure is sanctioned by absolute nullity when it prejudices the rights of a defense defined by the legal provision in force. According to Section 1 and 15 of the said criminal code, the examining magistrate is sovereign in his acts and conducts all preliminary inquiry he deems useful for the truth without the intervention of the government commissioner. That's what we had to realize a few days ago. And we will mention that Section 1 and 54 specify clearly that preliminary inquiry is sacred, and any person who contributes to this information is bound by professional secrecy under pain of sanction provided in Section 3 and 10 of the Penal Code. But according to Section 1 and 55, the dissemination of by any means whatsoever of news, photograph, and opinion related to preliminary inquiry is prohibited until the intervention of a dismal order or the event of a referral to the appearance of the accused before the trial courts, under penalties provided in Section 1 and 69 of the Penal Code. Just as the same, thus it ban any public expression of an opinion on the guilty of the accused. But we realize that the Minister of Communication and Government Spokesman, René Emmanuel Sadi, violated the Criminal Procedure Code, and we therefore affirm that he is submitted to full repression provided in Section 1 and 69 of the Penal Code, and Mandela Center International reserve all the right to carry out any judicial action against him. So, according to international legal instrument, that is human rights laws, the right of detention of Stephanie Jomo were violated, contrary to international legal instrument freely subscribed by the Cameroonian state. These are clearly violations of human rights within the meaning of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948, the International Convention of Civil and Political Rights of 1966, the African Charter on Human and People Rights of 1981, the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, and Degrading Treatment or Punishment of 1984. All the instruments ratified by the Republic of Cameroon. This is a flagrant violation of the provision of the Criminal Procedure Code relating to the primary inquiry, in particular in Section 1 and 16 and following. During her detention, we realized that Victoire Stephanie Jomo had not been able to access to her family, her comrades, her lawyer, or medical care while in custody in the gendarmerie premises. That the procedural rights of the victim were not respected in accordance to Section 1 and 22 of the Criminal Procedure Code. This is clearly an arbitrary detention, which is a violation of the rights of liberty, and is violation of national and international standards to which the State of Cameroon has duly subscribed.
Jean-Claude Fourneau, Permanent Executive Secretary of Mandela Center International and Équinoxe Television and Radio, rejects all allegations of manipulation and publication of false information highlighted in the warnings of the Minister of Communication and Government spokesperson René Emmanuel Sadi. Inosenaze has more.
A communique addressed by the Minister of Communication November 12 to the Managing Director of Équinoxe Television, René Emmanuel Sadi, indicates that the audiovisual media broadcast false testimonies of fellow citizens who falsely presented themselves as victims of the Anglophone crisis. Mincom in the correspondence opened way for arrest of heads of Équinoxe Television following what it qualifies as the ethical and deontological abuses committed within the framework of the weekly program Parole de Femme, presented November 3rd by Esther Mayer. According to the minister's text, the most illustrative case concerns the named Victoire Stephanie Jomo, who during the said program, according to the minister, will have shown theatrical imagination by delivering a completely fictitious story about horror scenes and atrocities experienced in Kumba, Southwest region. That Équinoxe Television, through its presenter Esther Mayer, more and more violates ethics and deontology of the profession, oversteps the limits of public freedom, considering the testimonies of Stephanie broadcast on Équinoxe Television as a maneuver to instrumentalize national and international opinion, René Emmanuel Sadzi instructed Équinoxe Television management to put an end to their irritative production of programs whose contents on a recurring basis are in gross violation of the relevant provision of Law number 2015/007 of April 2015 governing the audiovisual activity in Cameroon, as well as the legislative and regulatory provisions in force. In reaction, Équinoxe Managing Director, in a correspondence addressed to the Minister of Communication on November 12, authoritatively emphasized there was no ethical or deontological breach in the production of Parole de Femme, prepared and coordinated by Esther Mael, who sat in for Jolinge Nyonde, who suffered ill health. He made it clear to attackers that guests of the various Équinoxe television programs speak freely without any remuneration, respecting the canons of the program in which they are called upon to express themselves on a given subject. That haters only attempt tarnishing image of the People's Channel. Équinoxe boss remains adamant. Équinoxe Television reports nothing else but facts, and in this case has carried out investigations and has more than enough exclusive elements which it reserves to be made public when the time is right.
Coming up, for me, Armstrong Sander takes us into the nooks and crannies of what is today clearly known as the plan to tarnish the image of the #1 television channel in the country and the sub-region by state media in Cameroon. His report.
From the arrest of Stephanie Njomo to her appearance at the military court, then detention at the Newberg prison in Douala on November 11, 2020, little or nothing was said by the state media, the CRTV. But upon her release, the aluminium tower of Mbala 2 and its radio at Lonkak in Yaoundé made it its personal affair, interviewing Stephanie Njomo in the most questionable manner and setting with an unacknowledged purpose to discredit the proven professionalism of Équinoxe Radio and Television, to discredit its undisputable leadership and prominence in Cameroon and the Semak sub-region. In its treatment of the affair on November 19, 2020, the fourth radio station in Cameroon, according to Mediatude's 2019 classification, practically accused Équinoxe Television of having concocted tales and lies to incriminate the defense and security forces, tarnish the image of Cameroon and demonize the governments. This in making Stephanie Njomo say that she was manipulated and paid by Équinoxe TV to do a dirty job. In one of their broadcasts dedicated to this affair, a visibly exhausted and coerced Stephanie Njomo had this to say.
And told a story that is not true.
To the public media organ, Stephanie Njomo told an unfettered truth. Of course, the truth needed to demonstrate the amateurism of Équinoxe Television. The short lifespan of lies which immediately got overtaken by a statement from the same Stephanie Njomo while in detention.
Ils étaient en train de dire, ils ont montré certains messages que les gens les ont envoyés en disant que ce sont les Amba, que je suis un membre des ambassadeurs. On m'a envoyé pour venir faire ça et pouvoir pénétrer Douala à partir de moi parce qu'eux ils veulent déjà entrer ici. Je dis mais tout le dossier c'est seulement pour une personne, seulement pour moi là. Ils me disent que je suis accusé de ça mais je ne connais pas ce qui est en train de m'attendre. Il y a des avocats qui viennent parce qu'ils veulent me défendre mais ils ne connaissent pas la gravité du dossier. On est à la recherche des Amba et entre temps on dit que je suis une sympathisante de Amba. Tantôt je suis un sympathisant de Campo, tantôt c'est Équinoxe qui m'a payé. De tous les trois accusations là, quel est ce que j'adhère? J'ai dit aucun. Certes, je n'étais jamais allé à une chaîne de télévision, mais quelqu'un m'a rencontré pour aller à une chaîne de télévision. Vous voulez quoi? Vous m'obligez maintenant à dire qu'il y a le MRC derrière ça.
The treatment of this affair by the organ at the Jamo Hospital in Yaoundé raises buckets full of questions, both in content, form as well as format. What could have prompted this turnaround, if not pressure and torture, which the unfortunate lady was subjected to, according to the Mandela Center International? Observers raise a series of questions. Why will the CRTV be the only organ to interview Stephanie Njomo upon her release? Or did Stephanie Njomo deliberately and freely opted to head directly to the CRTV for the exercise after her release? Sticking to her accusation of spreading false information against the army, Cameroonians have been pushed to wonder whether just a confession of having lied is now worth the price to pay for such a serious offense. In treating the Stephanie Njomo affair, the CRTV once again trampled upon the elementaries of the journalism practice, clearly lacking in fairness, balance and impartiality, especially on a subject dealing with accusations. In disconcerting arrogance and contempt for the People's Channel, Équinoxe, the Mbala 2-1 Longkak media organ and its editorialist journalists did not bother to contact Équinoxe officials, talk less of the legal team, close aides and family members of Stephanie Njomo. The stage and art of the normal nature of the chronicles has given observers in Cameroon the authority to conclude that the file was ordered to justify the formal notice hastily served Équinoxe Television by Communications Minister René Emmanuel Sadi, who is board chair of the CRTV. The CRTV now wants to give journalism lessons to Équinoxe Television and Radio, just like the olden day preachers who used to say, "Do what I say and not what I do." The CRTV accused Équinoxe of manipulating public opinion, whereas Cameroonians refer to the CRTV as a certified liar. They do so with proofs anyway, because the CRTV spearheaded the presentation of fake Transparency International election observers following the 2018 presidential election in Cameroon. The distortion of the words and view of His Grace is somewhere clear that Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese on the conduct of the presidential election of 2018. The fake report on Garbu massacre and a fake image of the Douala Yaoundé double carriageway on its website, just to name these few, but all in which the media organ has never been humble enough to recognize as unpardonable professional failures and apologize to the Cameroonian people. Simply put, the organ is not a model and very poorly placed to give lessons to the leading media organ in Cameroon, Équinoxe Television and Radio. No field work, and at no moment has the Yaoundé organ been able to undoubtedly and professionally prove that Équinoxe Television manipulated or paid Stephanie Njomo to tell what they qualify as a fake story. The experience of a war victim. What a shame.
Thank you. For me, I'm Strong Sander. On to something else now. We take you to Njongo village in the Nguti subdivision. It is, of course, in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon. The road leading to that village is in a terrible state. In fact, some observers say the road no longer exists and it's become an uphill task to travel to that village. Details with Smanjik and Gabriel.
This cocoa farm down here, you can see the mud is horrible.
It's been 3 months since a landslide hit the inhabitants of Upper Congo in the Mbo hinterlands, Nguti subdivision of Kupemwaninguba division, southwest region. The heavy downpour that was recorded on August 21, 2020 led to the death of 3 persons, destroying farmlands, access roads, electricity supply and water catchment. 3 months after, the people of Mbo hinterland are still in distress. Things are not the same again. Our cocoa seeds are blocked in the farm because they can't be transported. We don't even know how our children will feast during this December. No food because our roads are inaccessible. Apart from the roads, we are in darkness. No water. All our water catchment destroyed due to the landslide.
landslides carry and go. All les types de landslides carry and go.
The roads that were destroyed till date, no solution. As a result of that, the inhabitants have to go through thick and thin when one of them dies out of the village. The transportation of the corpse to the village is a risky one. Our main problem is road. You can see how people are carrying corpses on their heads because of no road. Even a bicycle cannot use our road now. Cars used to transport luggages twice to Nchungu, but it is not possible now. The landslide that occurred on August 21, 2020, that killed 3 persons, has cost us a lot. Just as it's difficult to transport a corpse into the village, so too it's difficult for farm produce to reach the market. The population are begging.
We try to beg the government, say if they get any way where they feel help, we need to make we road so that we will feed the worker freely.
It will be recalled that apart from the government support to these inhabitants, no durable aid has come since the landslide occurred on August 21, 2020.
Talking Point is up next. Thank you for joining us in Talking Points. Barrister Edward Liunga, a Wule barrister at law and coming from the Legend Law Offices in Boya. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here today.
What's your take on the Stephanie Victoire Njomo affair?
Yes, a lot of things caught my attention because I've been following the process from the time the program here at Équinoxe and following her arrest and detention and following what has happened subsequently. But you see that a lot of water have gone down the bridge, and we think that is a time for Cameroonians to know that Cameroon is a state of law. And the first thing I would like to say is that when a matter is sub judice, like when there is a judicial process, the fact that she was arrested and investigations had commenced until she was statement had been taken at the level of the military tribunal, no further information per the law was supposed to go on state media and the way. So it is a violation of the law because the matter is still sub judice. The matter sub judice means that the matter has started in court, and so by our mother station CRTV taking her for an interview, it is a violation of the law because now they are tampering with evidence that is supposed to be handled at the level of the court. So we see that it is a total violation. And looking at talking to his lawyer, barrister Al-Hassad, if you look at the whole process, his lawyer was not given full access to his client, and that is what we decry as lawyers in this nation. Lawyers, we are not in a military junta, Babila Jonathan. We are not in a military junta. We are in a state of law. Cameroon have signed international conventions, and even our national law give all Cameroonians right to legal representation when they are before any judicial process. But that was not the case in the case of Victorine. It was not the case. Her lawyer was downcasted. She was taken to a private meeting without her counsel, and we are condemning this with the strongest term, and we are saying that this country is a state of law. Let all Cameroonians be allowed access to lawyers during in the case of any judicial process, and that's what we are saying. So looking at all of these things, if she has gone to CRTV and said she was manipulated by Équinoxe, these are things that we need evidence. It is not for you to just go that you were manipulated by Équinoxe. We need evidence. If you look at even what went on at the program here in Équinoxe, she was free, she was not under any pressure, and she gave her testimony. But if you look at what happened after her detention, there is much to be desired. So we have started the judicial process, and we don't know whether the state is going to bring an action against Équinoxe or Équinoxe is going, but we think that these are things that go with evidence. It is not something that you just sit and you say, where are the evidence? We have not seen any evidence anywhere that shows that that lady was being paid by any person. But looking at what she said, she did not call the name of Équinoxe. She did not outrightly say that she was paid by Équinoxe to do that. We did not see it in any of her outings. So it is all speculation, and even with her, we know that there have been a crisis in the English-speaking region, and Kumba has been a heated zone, and these skirmishes are normal from the non-armed state groups and even the state groups, non-state armed groups, and non-armed state groups, and even our military. We know that some skirmishes have gone on there. Our military cannot outrightly say that in the course of their fighting with the non-state armed group there have not been some skirmishes. Right. Now, you're talking about lawyers. As we speak now, some of your colleagues are still in detention. Barrister Tamfu and others who have been arrested and being detained over the standoff between lawyers and the security and defense forces at the Bonanjo Court of First Instance. It is a very shameful situation. As I tweeted some few days ago, that lawyers who are seen as the last hope of the common man, because lawyers, if people have problems, the first person they think of is, let me call my lawyer. If lawyers who are seen as the last hope of the common man are now treated like common criminals, then the worst is still yet to come. You see, Barrister Tamfu Richard is a human rights lawyer. He's a lawyer who has stood for the less privileged in this country. And if there is no part, and there's no part in the world except in Banana Republic, that I don't think that this our country should be considered as a banana republic, that military officials and police people invade the court and throw tear gas. It is something that should be condemned with its strongest terms. And we think that for you to go ahead to arrest lawyers who were in court, they were being attacked by military officials, they were in court, we attacked them. It is a shameful thing. And you see the accusations of some acts that were in violation of the law, according to the other side, notably talking about attack on security and defense forces, destruction of properties within the court premises, and so on. Attack, please, when you say attack of security and defense forces, the court of law is our home. The court of law is a home of a lawyer. That is our farm. Like the Batoni Etabison will say, the court of law is your own farm, is your own showroom. That is our house, for crying out loud. Meaning, it is even in military junta regimes, like in Nigeria, where you used to have the military junta regimes, you have the respect of the rule of law. And all the respect of the rule of law is to respect the courts. And I think that what we are seeing now in this country, I hear that some of our colleagues are still being searched to be arrested. It is a shame. To be honest with you, it's a shame. And the bar, we see the bar very weak at this moment. Very weak. I can say it without any fear of contradiction, because if it was the days of late barrister, late Batonet, Chakunte, Pate, Charles, we think that something could have been done. Up to now, the President Batonet, we have not heard her. She came to Douala, had meetings with some officials like the Attorney General of Douala and the Chief Justice of the region of Littoral. But up till this moment, we are seeing the case getting worse. Lawyers are still being arrested every day. There was a bar council meeting, and the decision was very weak. I have not even heard.
What should the bar have done more than what it has done?
No, the bar should stand up to the game. This is the time that the bar must unite. The bar must stand as one. Some lawyers in the southwest and northwest said, oh, in 2016 or 17, when lawyers in Anglophone regions were being brutalized, that lawyers in the French-speaking regions did not support us. But some of us are saying no. All of us must stand as one, because a lawyer, when one lawyer is touched, is all lawyers are touched. And right, to be honest with you, the bar council should stand up. The bar council must stand up, because I was shocked that this incident happened in Douala, and the next day lawyers were going to court. Our colleagues are in the hospital bed. Some of our colleagues are in detention, and those our colleagues who are in detention are being refused access. They are refused access to their legal counsel and even to their families. And these are things. Babila Jonathan, I say here in the strongest term that we condemn it to the last drop of our blood, and we call for the release of Barrister Tanfu and all other lawyers who are detained.
Barrister Tanfu and Chumeni, who are still being detained. And we are rounding up. Before we go, you were one of the lawyers in the case of Samuel Wazizi, the journalist of CMTV, who died in custody. For several months now, we've not heard a word about that case. What's happening?
Babila, it is really shocking, because after the audience with the French ambassador had with the head of state said they were going to open an independent inquiry, and up till today we have not. The spokesman of the military came in your station here, Équinoxe, and said that the inquiry has started, and up to today we have not heard anything. But we heard that some inquiries are done, secret inquiries are done. I heard that the commissioner of Munya was called up to Yaoundé. Some other top officials were called up for the inquiry. But to be honest with you, us the lawyers, we have not been invited to any inquiry. The corpse of our client has not still been handed to us. No report has been given. We don't know the state of the report. I met with some top members of government who assured me that the head of state has ordered for inquiry, and inquiry is going to be done. This is more than 7 months. We have not had any inquiry. We are still in court asking for the body of our client, and we are using this medium to tell the state of Cameroon that the family of Wazizi, they are still expecting the corpse, and we are still expecting an independent inquiry as far as this case is concerned.
Thank you very much, Barrister Edward Leonga Ewule, Barrister at Law from the Legend Law Offices in Boya. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. It's always
and we are wrapping up this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Équinoxe Television with this latest information swimming into our newsroom. Barrister Tanfu, Richard and Chumeni have been transferred to the New Bell Central Prison. We will be bringing to you updates. Stay with us. Coming up next, Équinoxe Soir.